Hey guys, I know you probably are a bit surprised to be seeing a new video from me right now. You may or may not have noticed, but a little while ago I deleted all of my videos, and there were a couple reasons for that. One is that, I have a job outside of this, and I started just feeling like a little skeptical, like, oh, I don't want, people from my job field to find these videos and, know all this personal stuff about my life. But I kind of thought more about it, and, I haven't really told my followers this, but this channel is not under my real name, and I do that for kind of a specific reason, and it's really for that. It's just to keep this kind of separate from my personal life. This is a very personal topic for me, and I don't really just want to, I guess, broadcast it to the world. But, I kind of thought more about it, and I was like, it's probably okay if I just post these videos, especially since it's not under my real name. And I kind of just want to, for those of you who might be new to this channel, share a little bit of my story and kind of explain where I'm at right now. So, when I was a teenager, I lived like a pretty clean existence as far as this stuff goes. Like, I really didn't get super into like PMO and all that stuff until I want to say I was probably maybe 16 or so, when it started to get kind of, I guess, bad. And basically, I was pretty well liked when I was a teenager growing up in school and stuff, and I always was in relationships, and it's not like I didn't have activities going on either. I mean, I was super busy, which is probably part of the reason why it didn't get bad until I was like around 16. But when I got around that age, I think I was just going through a lot because I just changed schools and wasn't really feeling like as confident in myself. And so all those feelings kind of bred insecurity. And when I found, when I kind of like used PMO for the first time, or it wasn't really like the first time, but it was, I guess, the first time when you could say like I got hooked. It was the first time I really remember. I felt like, like I was getting rid of my anxiety, basically. And the first couple times, I didn't really think too much of it. I didn't even really think too much of it for like the first little while. But I started noticing a couple months later that it became like a pattern for me. And it was pretty bad. Like, it got to the point where like I felt my anxiety rising severely, and I didn't really want to socialize with people as much. But anyways, fast forward a little bit, I got to college, and I somehow was able to sort of maintain a relationship, though it wasn't really like a healthy one by any means or anything. But when I got to college, I got really busy with my work, and I just ended up cutting off the relationship, which, looking back at it, I think was probably for the best at that time. But I think also part of the reason I did that was because, I was so not only immersed in school, but also immersed in this kind of self-destructive behavior. And so, long story short, that came to an end. And this was probably back in 2014. And it wasn't until about 2017, I want to say, that maybe even actually I guess it was about 2017, I actually started to think a little bit more about this habit, because I mean, it had been years that had been going on at this point, and and I was pretty successful, like, as far as, I mean, a lot of people like say that like, oh, like, no, doing PMO like made them not achieve their goals. I wasn't really, I mean, it was kind of the case, but I was still moderately like successful. Like I was doing well in school. I was exceeding at some of my career opportunities. Some of is the key word though. I wasn't taking every opportunity, that's for sure. But I um, kind of started to realize that it was problematic, and I kind of watched the Gary Wilson video. Just this, you've heard this story probably from a lot of people on here, but watched the video. I started kind of binge watching the Nofap videos, and I was like, maybe I really should, just try this and kind of see what happens. And at first, it was very difficult. I was only able to make it a few days at a time. And eventually, I started to, as I was watching the videos, develop strategies, and I started making it longer stretches of time, like a week or so, and then it was 2 weeks. And before I knew it, I noticed that because I was doing these streaks, even though they were small, I started to develop a little bit more of a confidence in myself, especially as far as like relationships go. And I noticed that as soon as I did this, I built more confidence up in myself, and I was able to kind of start getting into relationships again. Some of those relationships were failed, but it nevertheless, like, they weren't failed because of that. But then, sorry, this is such a long story, but then I got into the relationship that I'm in now, kind of as I was finishing college. And at that time, that was probably when I had, I guess, what you would call like the most self-control of any time since I first started. And when I first got into the relationship, I was super motivated about it, and I was able to make it streaks of 2 or 3 months. And I remember one time I actually made it up to 190 days back in 2019. So this was way back then. The past few years, I have been better than most people in the sense that like I can make it streaks of, a few weeks at a time sometimes, and even a couple streaks where I've made it months too. But more recently, I've noticed that the pattern has kind of gotten bad again, and I've been self-reflecting a lot, and I realized that back when I was doing my best, I was making these videos for one thing, but for another thing, I was also very actively watching these videos on YouTube of people also going through the same experience. And I think even though I didn't have like a real accountability partner, in a way that kind of made me feel like I had one, because I was kind of keeping up with a couple other people, and I was like, okay, like, how are they doing? Like, how can I learn from their journeys? And so the pattern, I guess more recently, has gotten a little bit bad again because of, there isn't really a specific reason, but I think for one thing, I just haven't been taking as good a care of myself because I've had to work a lot, going through a lot of life changes right now, moving into a new place, and there just hasn't been as much time for exercise or like really maintaining any kind of like good friendships. I do have good friends, but I just feel like I barely talk to them sometimes. And so I wanted to get back into this because I feel like making videos helped me, and hopefully it helps some of you guys too if you happen to still be on here. But yeah, I'm definitely a little bit disappointed in myself right now because I've kind of let myself fall back into this thing, and I've known it was negative for an extremely long time. We're talking about way back in 2016 and 17 when this, really got bad, even earlier actually. So at this point, we're talking about like almost a decade, and it is really, really frustrating that this is still something I'm dealing with. Like, I feel like I should have figured it out by now. And maybe by some people's standards, like, you know, making it a couple weeks at a time is figuring it out. But for me, that's just not really the way that I want to live. So I need to find that motivation that I had when I made it 190 days. And I need to just take better care of myself in general, I think, because I think that that is a really big factor as to why I'm not where I want to be with this yet. But, you know, by a lot of people's standards, I'm doing pretty well in life, like have a job in my field and pretty healthy. Well, I'm healthy by some people's standards, not by my own standards necessarily, but I mean, I'm healthy, but I'm not like as healthy as I would like to be, I guess is a better way to put it. But I think I'm kind of rambling at this point, but yeah, I just want to be back in that mentality I was in before. And but if any of you guys are still here, like I remember there were a few of you that would comment regularly. Thank you for sticking with me even when I deleted all my videos. I'm really not one to do something like that, but I was just feeling kind of bad one day, and I was like, you know, this is not something I want people to ever find out about. And but I think it's pretty safe on here again because it's yeah, I brought it up before. But anyways, I would love to hear from you guys, and if you have any thoughts or anything you're going through, feel free to share as well. All right, that's going to be it for today, but I will update again tomorrow. All right.